I don't identify as an addict anymore. I don't identify as an alcoholic because that's not me. But I never healed from the trauma that sent me down a path of drugs and alcohol and destruction.
Of what you're doing to help these people when they do get out.
Holistic Healing Certification Program. And I remember I went to the darkest point of my life. Like I was coming home and vomiting every day because I was just feeling everything. The trauma you've experienced in your life is going to be your biggest blessing.
Well, welcome back to the Plugged In Recovery podcast. I'm your host, Wade Mulhauser, the CEO of Plugged In Recovery. I am super excited today because I have the Brandon Lee with the Art of the Soul in the building. Brandon, I've known for a little over a year now, year and a half. Maybe. Have heard about you for a while, but I've got to know you over the year, and I'm super excited because this guy is changing the recovery space, and he's doing it through a method that most people wouldn't even look at. And I'm going to let him tell how he had this idea, how he saw it change lives. We see it and use it every other week to change the lives of our clients. And I mean, it is the best part about their week when they come back from that.
Dude, I love hearing that. That like makes my heart smile huge. I love hearing that. It's like the one thing. Well, first off, I'm going to start out. Congratulations to you. We met right as you were opening up your first residential.
Yes.
And I remember going to tour it. Like you didn't have anybody there yet. And I think when I was touring it, you stepped away on the phone. And you're like, I think we're getting our first client. It was around that time. So to see the way Plugged In has grown from residential now to PHP and IOP and all the things that your program is now offering such a huge population, the growth that you've seen in a year and a half is commendable. So congratulations to you and your team. I mean, it takes a visionary. It takes a true visionary and somebody with cojones to be able to say, I'm going to do something. You've been around the recovery landscape for I don't even know how many years. And so I think that you came into this with the right reasons. And I think one of the things we saw in Arizona was people looking at this profession and trying to get into it because they saw dollar signs and they saw money, and that was their motivating factor. But for you, you had already been in the space, with all the sober livings. And so you saw people at the very base of their foundation as they were trying to build a new life for themselves and their families. And then you said, you know what, there's a need out there and we got to do treatment different. We need to do it better. And I think when people come into the space, observing it, kind of working in it, and saying, okay, we do this well, but we need to do this better. And I think that's where you kind of come in to fill that space. It's crazy. November 1st, we'll be open 4 years, which is wild to me. It's wild to me that 4 years has already gone by. It does fly by. And they always say it flies by when you're having fun. And we have like such a blast. People ask me all the time, outsiders from people not in the recovery world, like just business owners. They're like, okay, how have you managed to grow your company so big in such a short period of time where you franchise your art studios to, psych hospitals, behavioral health clinics that work with people who are seriously mentally ill, addiction treatment centers, and now you build your holistic healing studios inside of state prisons? Like, how did you do that? And I reflected on that question when it was first asked to me like a year ago. And I think what we did is create something that had never existed in behavioral health before. And that was joy. Like, I don't think joy ever existed in behavioral health. There was no joy going to therapy. It's necessary, critically necessary to go to therapy. Yes. Critically necessary to be going to, meetings and to be going to IOP and group sessions, all critically necessary. But pure joy never existed. And I think we filled that space because the one thing I tell all of my facilitators is that their artwork doesn't have to be perfect. Their artwork doesn't have to be a masterpiece from your perspective. But are they laughing while they're in the art studio? Are they smiling? Are they dancing? Are they connecting with others? And when they leave our studio doors, are they elevated? Did they get that dopamine hit? And if the answer is yes, successful day. Like, I want people to be high on life when they leave my art studio. I want them laughing. I want them dancing. I want them singing. I want them dancing to the music that we play during the art sessions. Like, I want them experiencing that joy, because guess what happens? They come back to your treatment center. They're all talking to one another. They're all connected. They all have this shared, like, fun, joyous experience. So guess what happens? They go into your group session. They get more out of that group therapy session. They're more elevated. They're more open. They're more vulnerable to talk about their traumas, right? And so our purpose is that we bring joy to mental health. And when you know what your purpose is, you're successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't get distracted by, do you know how many publicists come to me saying, man, you're sitting on a gold mine. You need to be open to the public. You could be throwing parties in here. You could have bachelorette parties. We could sell your place out. And I'm like, there is nothing that I can think of more of a nightmare than having a bunch of bridesmaids up in my studio, like doing some sip and pour, whatever they call that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I could think of nothing more torturous than that.
Yeah.
But I've always said no. I've always said no opening up to the general public, because we would lose our purpose.
Yes.
And our purpose is identified with people who are struggling with mental health. And so our purpose is to bring them joy, and I'll never lose sight of that.
And I love that. And so take us to even how you got there, because you've been a part of the recovery space for countless numbers of years. And you've tried, knowing your story, you've tried different modalities yourself.
A lot.
You've
I'm
tried
very
done
open
the
about it,
steps.
yeah.
You've done, gone away from the steps. You've done therapy. So where did this come into play? Was it something you did one time and were like, hey, there's something to it? Or
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because I was really never an artist before I opened Art of Our Soul. Like people are like, wait, what? You weren't not like some professional artist, and you didn't just open up this company because you were a professional artist. No, it's wild how I like stumbled across this life's journey. Important to say that I'm on my recovery journey from trauma, and I'll be on that journey for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Because I think your healing journey is a life continuum,
Yes.
right? My soul is here to progress in this human experience. Cool. I'm going to continue to learn until the day I cross over to the other side and leave Earth.
Yes.
Cool. So I don't identify as an addict anymore. I don't identify as an alcoholic because that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an alcoholic. I am not a drug addict. So I'm not going to label myself something I no longer am. But I tell people my recovery journey from trauma and healing from trauma will be a lifelong thing. I heal now through multiple modalities. But for a long time, I wasn't in active like recovery. I was going to 12-step meetings, like 5 meetings a week for almost 12 years. Bro, it's a lot.
It's in it.
It's in it. It's in it. I never went to a treatment center, but I did go to a lot of meetings. Drugs, alcohol, everything was my thing. So I did that for 12 years. But here's the thing. In those 12 years, I never did like a lot of therapy. Like I just went to meetings.
Okay.
And really thought that because I'm a pretty strong-willed dude.
Yeah.
Right? I can white knuckle with the best of them, and I did. So all I did was really go to meetings. But I never healed from the trauma that sent me down a path of drugs and alcohol and destruction. So I never got to the root cause, right? And so after 12 years, like trauma hit and I was triggered. And when I tell you I was off to the races, I was off to the races. Like I had never used a drug in Arizona, ever, okay? After 12 years, like I got sober in California, was sober in Atlanta, Georgia for 4 years, and was here for a long time in Arizona and never once used. I found meth in 15 minutes. Like, what? And I used for like 7 hours. That's how long my relapse lasted. I used for 7 hours, and it was enough to whip me back. Like the shame hit after 7 hours. All right, immediately. And so, and I remember I went to the darkest point of my life, like suicidal ideation. The amount of shame that I carried on my shoulders from that relapse is like indescribable unless you've been there. And I sat there in this dark and I said, dude, I just did 5 meetings a week for 12 years and it just ended with me using meth. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said, go back to more meetings, right? And I said, no, I'm going to do something else. And so that's when I found a therapist who specialized in doing trauma work through breath work. And I committed to that. And it was a commitment I made 2 hours once a week. And very similar to EMDR therapy, it was just through breath work instead. And I would get so high on breath work that, man, I would bypass my frontal lobe and I would get to the part of the brain where we store those traumas and began to heal from all the childhood trauma that I experienced while guided breath work one-on-one, and was able to finally start healing that inner child who experienced a lot of abuse and neglect and sex abuse and so on and so on. And about 4 months into that work, he would always ask me, what are you seeing? And I'm like, man, I'm like this little kid and I'm painting. And so he encouraged me after that, and he goes, man, just go to the art store and pick up some canvas, pick up paint. And I did after 4 months of that work. And 9 months later, I continued with that breath work. I just decided, I said, you know what? I'm going to quit my job of 22 years. Like, I was so healed from my trauma that all my guards were down. And being a journalist, being a news anchor and reporting on some of the most horrific things that you can ever think imaginable, like, I physically could not walk into a newsroom anymore. Like, I was coming home and vomiting every day because I was just feeling everything. And so finally I just said, you know what? I'll figure out a way to make it. Like, I know what my mortgage is.
Yeah.
Like, I can make $1,200 a month. That's what my mortgage was at that time. I can do this for $1,200 a month. So I literally just found this little building. It was 500 square feet. And I just had a vision in a breathwork session to call it Art of Our Soul. People thought I was batshit crazy, bro. Like, batshit. I was a main local news anchor, was doing well financially. And I quit all of that to open up a 500 square foot studio. And I didn't care. Because all I know is that I pounded EDM music. People are like, how'd you come up with this modality? I would lock myself up in my guest room at my condo where I lived. I would pound EDM music and I would create artwork. Bro, when I'm telling you the joy I felt, like, all my anxiety lowered. And so I'm like, I'm going to create this. Like, I'm going to create a cool studio. We're going to pound EDM music and we're going to create artwork. And, luckily I had a couple of treatment centers that said, hey, dude, we'll send our patients to you for a month and see how they react to it. And like, after the first month, like, the patients loved it, and the treatment center's like, dude, we'll keep sending people there. And it's taken off from there. So, like, that's how it all began for me. It all began that way. And I try to tell people, man, that was the darkest moment of my life. The darker than when I got sober 12 years ago. That period in 2020, 2021. But, like, I tell people that was such a gift. That relapse I experienced was such a gift. It was a blessing. I'll go crazy here and say that, like, my guide's on the other side. I believe all of us are souls. We came here to have this human experience because we wanted to experience trauma. Our souls wanted to experience that dark so that we can heal and grow from it and learn from it so we could live our life's purpose. And I believe my guides on the other side were like, this isn't why he's here. He's coasting. Like, he's meant to do so much more. And there were times I would be sitting in the newsroom looking out. People wanted my job.
Big time.
Like, people all over the country, that's what their dream was.
Yes.
And I was sitting in that newsroom looking around being like, this can't be it for me. I am meant for something so much more than this. And that's not diminishing that job.
No.
This is me and my life and my soul's journey. And my guides on the other side were like, light a fire. It's going to get dark for him. Light a fire. He's over here. We need him over here. It's going to get dark. It's going to get bad for him. But it's the only way he will do the work necessary to get him where he needs to be. And that's exactly what happened. The success that I'm having today is only because this is my life's purpose.
Agreed.
Full stop. My therapists, multiple, and healers around me knew what I was walking away from to start and create. And it was never about money. Never. As a matter of fact, people thought I was crazy. Like, how are you going to make it? I didn't care. I didn't care because all I knew is that that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I needed to do. And so the success that I'm having now, I tell people, it's not about the money. It's because it's working. And my guides on the other side are like, listen, it's helping people heal. He's reaching people of the most underserved communities. And it's helping them heal from their trauma so that they can live a better life. So we're going to help it grow. That's it. Like, that's the secret sauce. It's the most authentic version of myself that I can present. Some people are like, damn, you're a good salesman. No, bro. I'm a shitty salesman. Like, I could not sell your shit for the life of you. Like, I would be a terrible sales exec.
Yeah.
Like, terrible. But when I'm having meetings, whether it be with the governor of Washington or Utah and the director of their correctional facilities, or even here, the director of prisons here, people are like, bro, man, they don't let providers inside prisons and like build their studios like inside. Like, they don't do that. And they're like, man, we're in. But they also say, like, you really believe in this? I'm like, oh, dude, I believe in this so much because I see it. I still teach. Like, don't get things twisted.
No.
Yeah, I own my company and we're growing and we're doing a lot of things, but don't get it twisted. I still have my apron on. As a matter of fact, I teach all of your sessions. I'm there. Every time Plugged In is there, I'm teaching. Like, I still teach. I still teach every Wednesday morning for the dudes at Crossroads. Those are my guys. I have never missed one of those classes. I still teach. Like, my hand is covered in paint. I tell all my facilitators, I don't care how big we ever get. I don't care how many prisons we're in or how many states we're in or how many behavioral health clinics we're in. Every week, your hands will be covered in acrylic paint. And if they're not dirty and if you don't find like paint in your fingernails, dude, we got a problem. There'll never be that person who works for me that isn't with our clients, that isn't with our people. Like, no way. Because if the moment I don't have paint on my hands at the end of the week, I'm going to lose touch of our purpose. Like, full stop.
I love that. And I tell that to our clients when, you know, they're super excited and they just think of you as like a normal person. I'm like, you don't get it. He doesn't have to be doing, like, he is Art of the Soul. Yeah. Like, you know, like, he's the one who's doing the paintings and stuff with you. I was like, but he is the company. And most people wouldn't be doing that. So, like, it is a gift that he takes his time to really get in the trenches with you. And they would have no idea because it's not the person you are. You're just about making the experience for them, which is what I find just so exhilarating about the whole process. Because like you said, it's when they come out of there, it's the camaraderie that they have, the community that's now built, the high that they're emotionally riding that they haven't felt in so long, that now, like, whatever piddly resentment they may have came in with or whatever may be going on outside of there, they're able to get outside of themselves and into the community so that isolation stops, where the healing can then begin in the community aspect of it. So it makes those groups and everything so much stronger. What is one thing that you've seen because obviously this is 4 years old, so there's probably some changes that you've had to make to the process or done that you've really seen, like, the growth happen that we'll get into, where now you're getting into prisons and juvenile centers and all of these things. What did that look like?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's going to be the growing pains, and there's moments where, are we doing enough? Is this going to survive? Do people get bored? Do people not, do they not have the same experience? Somebody had said to me, they're like, how can your program grow if you're not teaching it? Like, if you are the company and you are it and you're the experience, how can this ever be successful? And that was my biggest concern and fear of letting go. Because at the very beginning, we were doing like 3 to 4 sessions a day, 5 days a week. I taught every one of those for the first 2 years. Do you know how many sessions that is, bro? And my therapists were like, you're going to burn out. You cannot sustain this. You cannot sustain this. You're going to burn out. And I was like, but how can somebody else do this? Like, how can somebody truly connect and pour into other people? And so what I started to do was purposely pull back a couple of sessions, and I can't tell you how hard that was. It was my baby, and you're trusting other people with something you created. Like, that's hard.
Yes.
Like, you know this because you own your own companies.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you're the creator of something to trust somebody else to take over it, and when you're not there. So I started to pull back, but I didn't tell any of our partners that I wasn't teaching because it was twofold. I didn't want them to think I didn't care.
Right.
That was a big one. And then the other one is I wanted to see if word got back to them that their clients weren't having the same experience. So I was kind of just always waiting for a phone call, like, our clients really aren't into it anymore. Like, what's going on over there? And I didn't hear it, right? I've never done a job posting. So everybody who's worked for me has naturally just come to me and they've asked to work for me because they've experienced what we've done before and they've asked to come work. So that's how it's always worked. And then we had to change modalities as well. Like, for example, the prisons. I opened up inside Perryville Prison and Lewis Prison, and I was there for 1 week, and I looked and I sat in the corner. I said, oh my God, this isn't going to be enough for them. Oh, damn. Like, this isn't going to be enough. And within 2 weeks, I changed the entire program where we added yoga, breathwork, and sound bowls all to the same program. So now the full menu of options. So I've got yoga facilitators, breathwork facilitators, sound bowl facilitators, art and music facilitators. Like, you run the gamut. Now they have a menu of options, right?
In the prison.
In the prisons.
People don't go into prisons and get to just do this type of stuff. So let's not discount that like this is just an everyday thing.
No, yeah. So, I mean, and I knew, and here's the other thing. Like, I knew that we needed growth, and I'll never forget, here's like the one best tip and this is in business and this is in life. Surround yourself, okay, with people who are successful in life and in business. Because you will become that. And there's one person I will always give credit to. She's like my sister. She's the CEO of Copa Health. Her name is Dr. Sharna Jaffe-Piper. I remember when I first met her, I was open for 2 months and I was soliciting new business, right? And I go to Copa Health and they go, well, all of our members are SMI, seriously mentally ill. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I can't work with them. And she goes, well, why? And I was like, well, I'm not certified. Like, I'm just an artist. Like, I don't have the certifications to work with your population. Like, that would just be wrong, da, da, da. And she goes, why would you say that? She goes, I'm getting to know you, and you seem like you're a very compassionate, very empathetic person. I think you'll be perfect with my population. And so she sent over, busloads of people from all of her residents and her clinics. And she observed, and so a year into it, they've got thousands of members, by the way, in Maricopa County. And we have lunch. She's become like family to me now. But we had lunch and she goes, listen, you need to grow. And I'm like, oh man, I can't imagine opening up another one of these. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no way. She goes, Brandon, here's the thing. We have thousands of members. Your studio can seat 15. Like, they love it, but you're not making a dent in my population. And she goes, and here's the other thing. You have 100% attendance rate. It's the only one of our programs that we offer that has 100% attendance rate. She goes, amazing. But the problem is you're the only program where we're shuttling people to. She goes, so I have shuttles going around to all of our villages. They're all signing up and they're taking them to Art of Our Soul and then they're taking them back to their villages. I need them to come to my clinics. Because they need other services. So I need them to come here. And I was like, well, I can't do that. I can't do it. And she goes, so she kept pestering me. You need to think about expansion. How do you grow? And finally, out of frustration, we were at lunch one time. I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll build you your own Art of Our Soul. Okay. I'm going to go to one of your clinics, your campus. I'm going to build you your own Art of Our Soul. Cool, Shar? And then I'm going to train your team how to do what we do. And then honestly, you could just run as many sessions as you want. Cool? She goes, oh my God, like that's your growth. That's your model. And I was like, what? She goes, that's how you're going to grow your company. She goes, come back to me with a business proposal in 1 month. You got 30 days. Come back to me with a proposal. And so I did. So that was how I created the first franchise in behavioral health. Like really, I call it more of a partnership, but legally it's a franchise. And she goes, great, we'll take 4. And I'm like, okay. And so then Crossroads invested in one for their women's program. Northside Recovery invested one for their program. Axiom Care has one for theirs. Polara Health up in Prescott now has one up there for their members up in Yavapai. And so, it's grown. And then I'll never forget, bro, one day we were working with a treatment center that was working with reentry folks. And I got to know these folks. And these folks had been in prison for 25 years. And they had just gotten out days prior, and they were in my studio, and I got to know them. And one day I asked them, I said, hey, man, what would this been like if you had access to this in prison? And they're like, oh, man, it would have changed my life. Are you kidding me? I'm like, cool. I went on LinkedIn. People think like I use my name to like get in with prisons. I'm like, first off, the director came from Maine. Like he had no idea who I was. Like I was never a news anchor when he was here. So FYI, and I have the LinkedIn message to prove it. I literally wrote the director of prisons a message on LinkedIn 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Hey, Director Thornell, my name is Brandon Lee. I'm an artist. I have this really cool program, Art of Our Soul. We work with a bunch of reentry folks. I would love to have you come tour my program. I sent that message at 10:33 in the morning. At 1:30 p.m. that day, the Director of Corrections messaged me back on LinkedIn. Hey, Brandon, sounds like a great program. I'll get you connected with my EA, my executive assistant, and we'll get something scheduled. That's how it all began, bro. He came over for a tour 2 weeks later. He was supposed to be there for 45 minutes. He was there for 2 hours. And at the end of that 2 hours, he goes, okay, like, cool program, but like, why am I here? And I was like, honestly, I want to build my studios inside your prisons. And they started laughing. And I was like, you think I'm crazy? And he goes, no. I actually think it's genius. And he just started rattling off these names that meant nothing to me. He said Lumley. I'm like, what's Lumley? Is that a prison? And he goes, no, it's not a prison. It's a unit in a prison, but I digress. And he goes, let's get going on this thing. Problem was, who's going to pay for it? And so, hit the corrections budget's based on the state legislature, right? And he can't just spend money how he wants to. And so, listen, like, I went to Mercy Care. And I went to Banner and I said, listen, I need money. And they're like, how much money are you talking about? And I'm like, this amount of money. And they're like, they're going to let you build your program inside prison? I'm like, yeah, dude, it doesn't exist anywhere in the country. Like, can truly say that. And they go, we're in. And so I got private investors from the health plans to invest in this. Why? Because 94% of incarcerated individuals are going to re-enter our communities. 94%, with a very high majority of them all on Medicaid. Cool. Well, if we don't invest in rehabilitating them while they're incarcerated, what's going to happen when they get out? They're going to end up in detox, residential treatment, in the emergency rooms, the 3 most costliest points of care for Medicaid. And then they're going to reoffend. They're going to be right back in prison, which is a huge burden on our taxpayers. So my pitch to the state legislature is this. If we spend $45,000 to $50,000 per inmate per year in Arizona, in which we do, we got 34,000 of them locked up right now, okay? If we can begin to heal them and invest in healing them while they're in our custody, when they get out, if we keep one of them from offending, I just saved you 50 grand, right? If I keep 10 of them, you've just paid for 2 studios. Like the math is so basic and simple, and the health plans were in it. And so I've gotten them to invest in it, and then the data comes back. The data is unbelievable. So it's those kinds of things. And I think what has worked is that A, I believe in my program. B, we've got the data to prove it. So I can pitch you something, but data talks all the time. And 3, it's purposeful. Like it's helping people. And I think that when we can look at something from all walks of life, Republican, conservative, I don't care what you are, like it's the right thing to do. It's fiscally good policy, yes. Right? Just from a conservative perspective, fiscally, it's great policy. But also, it's great if we want to make our community safer. right? We want to heal our families. We want to heal people. We want to heal our communities. Well, we better heal the most violent before they return.
Yes.
Right? And also understanding, Wade, all those incarcerated individuals all experienced immense childhood trauma when they were kids themselves. If you would get to know them the way I've gotten to know them over the course of the past 18 months, you would have had empathy for them, for what they went through when they were children. A ton of environmental trauma, child abuse, child neglect, childhood attachment trauma. Many of them weren't raised with a mother who was holding them, giving them that love and affection when they first entered this world. So their wires were all messed up. Well, of course they went down to drugs and alcohol. Of course they did destructive and hurtful things. I'm not excusing those behaviors. But what I am saying is there's a cause and effect. There's a root cause, and then there's the effect. Well, if we get past the effect here and the terrible things they've done to people and get to the root cause, let's heal them. Let's heal that root cause so that they don't continue to hurt other people. It's very, very basic.
Yeah. Have you seen it soften some of these individuals who are
Oh my God,
the hardest of individuals?
I have seen convicted killers open up to me about being molested by their dad, being physically abused. I mean, neglect in ways that would just tear you apart. I'll never forget, I had a 34-year-old guy who has been serving 16 years already in prison. So do the math backwards, right? For murder. After 2 art sessions, he goes, yo, can I tell you something I've never told anybody? I'm like, yeah. He goes, my dad used to rape me all the time when I was a kid, man. And I know that's why I did the things I did. And I just looked at him and I said, I am so sorry you experienced that. And he cried. You can ask any of these wardens the change behavior of these individuals because guess what? They're finally seeing as humans for the first time. When we begin to treat people as a human, we can help them heal. And again, they've done terrible things, but that shouldn't be their identity. Just like people who come to Plugged In. What you've done in your life doesn't need to be your identity. Right. I don't care if you come from wealth or whether you come from underserved poor communities, right? Trauma is trauma, right? There's really wealthy people who abuse their children.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we look at that wealthy dad and say, you don't deserve to go to treatment because that's what we do to the underserved communities. Yes. But this wealthy dad who has molested their kids or physically abused and neglected their kids, and he's a super drunk, they send him to treatment, and he gets that pass. Oh, it's because of drugs and alcohol. Well, da, da, da. Well, he's done the same abuse that a poor father has done to their kids, right? And passed that down, right? Yeah. So it's like, let's just try to treat everybody equally when it comes to providing care, right? And make sure that we continue to offer those things to people who need those services and need that help. Because at the end of the day, there's children involved. And so we want to heal that rich father who's a drunk and a jerk and abusive because we want him to go home healed so he doesn't hurt his kids anymore and pass down that generational trauma. So I just come from it because people ask me, and I've been accused of being a grifter. I have been accused by people at treatment centers who own treatment centers who were once in prison. And they're here in Arizona. And they talk about me behind my back like he's a grifter. He's taking advantage of this opportunity, like going into prisons, da, da, da. And he's never been in prison. He's not one of us. So why does he care? Is what some of them say. And I look at them and I'm like, I'm not a grifter.
No.
first off.
Absolutely not.
And I don't need to defend myself to you
No.
because I know where that's actually coming from. But if that really is what you think of me, go talk to the people in prison who we work with every single day and ask them. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that there's the challenging part sometimes is that there are people in this community who are taking advantage of people.
Yes.
There are.
And there's always going to be.
And there's always going to be,
Yeah.
right? But I always say this, like if people will be watching and they're thinking about coming to a treatment center, right? Here's the things you want to look for before sending your loved one to a treatment center. What are the modalities they're offering? Look at the menu of options that this treatment center is going to be offering your loved one. Because there's a lot of treatment centers who are in it for the profit, where they will stick your loved one in a group meeting 5 times a day, 7 days a week, while they're at residential treatment. That is not going to heal them. Find the treatment centers that are investing in therapies and therapeutic modalities that are truly helping them heal from their trauma. And if you go to Plugged In's website and you begin to look at all the therapies that Plugged In is invested in, you will see that they are making that investment into the people they're trying to serve. Hands down. Mm-hmm. I know you are. Granted, you invest in sending your clients to Art of Our Soul. We're not a cheap program, but we're also proud of what we do and what we offer. Equine therapy, you send your folks there. Like, you have red light therapy. You invest heavily into the modalities that you offer the people who come here. That's where we should all be.
Yeah.
But that's where you should send your loved one to, because not all treatment centers are created equally. No. And sadly, so many people are just sending their folks to these treatment centers, hoping that when their loved one comes back in 30 or 60 days, that they're going to be changed. And I'm looking at their menu of options. I'm like, damn it. They're not.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that motivates me. I mean, I can do my part. I can't heal a whole soul, right? I can't heal a whole individual. And nobody can.
No.
And I think sometimes we get into this God complex where treatment centers will be like, nope, we can do it ourselves.
We'll fix them.
We'll fix them without collaborating with outside partners who are experts in their field. It's like, you can't.
Yeah.
You can act like you can't.
No.
That's why I was saying no one person can heal a whole individual. No one treatment center itself can heal a whole individual. The best treatment centers, the best companies partner with other companies to come together as a community of partners to be like, hey, you're really good at this. You handle that. I'm really great at this. We can handle this aspect. And when we begin to work with one another and partner, we're really making an impact.
Yeah.
And we're creating and changing lives. And that's what it's all about.
That is the biggest benefit of it. And I think that is something where when you are looking at a treatment center, you hit the nail on the head is who are these people partnered with and investing in? Because to be fair, when I first came to you and I was like, here's this art therapy, my whole experience of art therapy in treatment was my BHT or my counselor who just did a group session before throwing out paintbrushes or throwing out some sticks that we were going to put yarn around and saying, this is your art therapy. Aren't you healed from it? Correct. And so I had just this negative connotation of, does art therapy even belong in treatment? Because my experience with it was terrible. And then I remember walking in the doors of your studio and just being like, oh, I was so wrong.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it's supposed to look like.
And feel.
And that's the thing is it's one thing to like look at it, but the feeling you get I can just say it based on clients, the raving reviews. I don't know if you know this, but we had a client recently submit their artwork at the state fair that they did with us in your class. I have to send you the picture.
Yes, send me the
they took
picture.
first place.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They took first place. And it was something they did, and they're so proud of it. In this smile that she has on her face in this picture of winning this prize with this thing she did in treatment, right? And it's amazing work, but it's just like you can't put a dollar amount on that.
Yeah.
Because that is changing them from the inside out. That's when I talk about if you say somebody would ever say you're a grifter, it's like this man gave up a career path.
For sure.
That was, I mean, not only just a career path that most people would love to get on, but like that you had to be successful and get break after break after break. Like a lot of things had to go your way to get to where you were, and you gave it all up to start this thing, much less to know that someday you'd get into prisons, to juvenile detention centers, to, SMI patients, to everything else that you're doing. And then the other thing I did want to touch on with this is the cool thing you just told me as we first sat down of what you're doing to help these people when they do get out. The women we were talking about.
Yeah, it's insane. And that's the goal. Like that's the model. So we at Perryville Prison, Art of Our Soul created a holistic healing certification program.
Unbelievable.
So it's all trauma based. And it's actually the yoga certification program is based on the very popular trauma book, The Body Keeps the Score. So that's the core book that we base the yoga certification program on. And so we have 25 incarcerated women who are finishing up their 8-month certification course, 200 hours, and they're all going to be re-entering within the next 18 months back into our Arizona communities with yoga, breathwork, and sound bowl certifications. One of them is graduating on December 4th, and she is re-entering 2 hours after graduation. So the graduation ceremony of her certification course is the same day of her release date. She's going to be releasing, and we got her a job over at another treatment center, and she's going to be a BHT, where she's going to be able to help other people in recovery with yoga, breathwork, and sound bowl healing. Like, how rad is that?
Yeah.
Like, that to me is healing. And it's just like, it writes itself, like taking some of the most violent offenders and turning them into holistic healers. Like, it's just like, but that's it. Like, that is life. And it's crazy because I surround myself with a network of healers.
Yeah.
They've all helped me. And so we'll be out at like lunch or whatever, and they're like, man, just tell them some of the stories of the transformations of these women and the men. And they look at me sometimes. One of them is my dear friend. She goes, damn, I'm kind of jealous, bro. And I'm like, why? I'm like, you help heal me. Like you guided me. Like, what do you mean? And you've taught me so much. And she goes, it is a healer's dream to be working with people who have experienced that much childhood trauma and violence, committed that violence, but then seeing their transformation into being holistic healers. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's really cool, actually. Like, it's really cool. And like, I don't know, man. I saw these women and handpicked with corrections these women that would get the opportunity to do this. And I gave them a hard motivational speech on day one. And they've lived up to it. I know how hard the program is we created.
Yeah.
It's 8 books, and they have to write all these reviews on these books and these book reports. But I'm like, no, I don't want this to be a regular yoga certification course that anybody can just go pay for $3,000 a piece out here. No. This has to be specifically tailored to trauma and the impact of trauma on the body. Because they've experienced that trauma. I want them to be healed after this. But where they go to help people is they're all going to need that trauma body response, yes. Right? And so it was very specifically tailored to what we wanted to have done, and I cannot wait. They're all graduating, and to see, I'm going to be there on her first day at this treatment center when she's like leading a class, because how cool is that? Like living in prison for like over a decade and then getting out and already having a job and being able to help people, like that is life.
That is life.
Like that is life. Like that's our why. And that's going to be continued to be our why. I mean, I practice manifestation techniques. I do, because manifestation works.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I know it'll be a domino effect. People are like, what's your goal? Like, yeah, dude, I want to be in prisons all over the country. Like, why not? Like, why wouldn't I want to pass this around?
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, it should be. Like, they
With
should.
your success rates,
like,
the proof that you
the
have in
data
the pudding,
points, yeah.
100%.
And by the way, this isn't just for incarcerated inmates, incarcerated individuals. We have officer sessions. So we work with all the correctional officers. So correctional officers have their own classes at my studio.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah, it's a health and wellness part of their program. Because you got to think we need to regulate the officers' behaviors as well.
Yes.
Right? I mean, on multitude of levels. They have a very high-risk job. They're dealing with extremely violent people who are unregulated, and they're in fight or flight mode the entire time. Well, imagine when they go home. I mean, imagine the substance misuse within that field.
Yeah.
So our program goes beyond incarcerated individuals. We have correctional officer sessions. And so we help them heal from this as well. And so it's a whole wellness package that we are able to deliver to the entire correctional system.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's the best job in the world, man.
Any parting advice that you want to leave people with, or anything that you could give them as maybe the coolest thing that you're excited for next, or anything like that?
I would say this: the trauma you've experienced in your life is going to be your biggest blessing to what you can manifest for the rest of your life. What has happened to you is a blessing. The abuse you experienced when you were a child, the abuse you've experienced throughout your life, it's all been a blessing. It's an opportunity for you to heal from it, to grow from it, learn from it, and now live the life you're supposed to live. What has happened to you has happened for you, but you have to take the opportunity to heal from it.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. Just really quickly, where can people find you?
Yeah, Art of Our Soul, artofourssoul.com. We're not open to the general public. We only work with private partners, but we don't throw parties and we don't do individual sessions, but yeah.
I mean,
it's not a business pitch. It's like, I'm not here for business,
No.
Yeah.
You're here to change lives, and you're doing just that. Thank you so much.
Got you, man.
Love you, man.
Love you too.